Hi there. My name is Holly Haynes. I'm a business strategist and I help you build a full-time business on a part-time schedule without relying on the social media algorithm. So if you're ever wondering, Holly, what is it really like running a business and want to get real and raw, then this episode is for you. I'm pulling back the curtain and sharing the nitty-gritty details of our year so far, talking about Mastermind Magic, what I have invested in, how we're refreshing our products, how we've built our team, the secrets that we're using behind the scenes with SEO and Pinterest, and the results that we've gotten from testing and trying out different ad strategies. But this episode isn't just about me. I want to help you too. And so I'm going to share some actionable tips on really helping you identify some areas in your business that you could use a little TLC, how to inject more fun into your strategy, and focusing on your key growth engine to make it work for you. Can't wait for you to dig into this week's video. On this episode of this Friday's Pep Talk, I thought I would dig in behind the scenes a little bit and get a little personal. We've been super strategic for the last couple of weeks, and so I thought I would share what we have invested in this year, what's worked and what's flopped. And the reason being is one of my favorite ways to learn as a business owner is to actually go behind the scenes with other business owners, entrepreneurs, moms, corporate leaders. I want to know, what do you actually do? Like, not the fluffy stuff, but like, what do you actually do? What does your schedule look like? What are you investing in? How many hours are you working? And so I love this strategy so much that I've actually incorporated it into our own programs. So every Monday in our mastermind, for the first 15 minutes of our call, I actually go behind the scenes and share what I'm working on. I share my schedule, what's working, what's not working, what I'm stumped on. And the outcome is honestly the number one thing that I feel like is working right now. And that is honesty and trustworthiness. And I feel like when you have both of these things in your back pocket, everything will flow the way that it's supposed to. Like, everything will work out the way that it's supposed to work out. So in true Crush the Rush fashion, let's open the doors and share what we have invested in this year, what's worked and what's flopped, in hopes that it helps you as well. So first things first, in January of 2024, this year, I invested in a year-long mastermind. I've shared this a few times, but I have never not been working with a coach since I started my business. So some masterminds have been 5+ figures. Heck, some coaches by themselves have been 5+ figures. And some resources that I've downloaded have been like $97. But I knew that this year I wanted a group to bounce ideas off of and to better understand what others are seeing in today's marketplace, which I'll share why. But there was a strategy behind this. So I thought I would share what has worked inside this community for me personally, and that is asking questions. So every month, 3 times a month, regardless of how I'm feeling, if I want to show up or not, I do. I get in the room with these amazing ladies, most, I will be honest, who have been in business way longer than I have, and I ask questions. I have a list of questions that I ask. I ask, what's working for you? What's been challenging? What's not working? How did you do that? What would you recommend? And I honestly have just become an expert question asker. And I'd like to think that it's led to some pretty amazing outcomes. So it's led to new launch strategies that we've tried, some of which I've chatted about on this podcast. It's led to new partnerships, which you're starting to see sort of come out to the world this summer. Some really amazing new business friends who I actually will ask more questions to as we continue to grow our relationship. So it's been a really great investment, I would say, this year, because it's really important to me to have a pulse on what's working and what's not working, but from other business owners' perspective, right? Like, not just mine. I don't know everything, and I always want to continue to learn. So that was number one. Number 2 was, and the reason that I joined that mastermind was, our goal for the Crush the Rush business this year was to refresh everything. And when I say everything, it just means what I created in 2020 when I started this business has a little bit of a different look and feel than what we're doing now, which is fine. I would expect every business owner to grow and evolve. And so I just wanted to go back and not necessarily redo things because I still believe in what we teach and how we teach it, but just make it like updated, like give it a little bit of a glow up, right? So I partnered with my copywriter, Jenny Roth. She is amazing. And what we're doing is slowly rewriting and redoing all of our sales pages and funnels over the year. So I actually sat down in January and mapped out like behind the scenes all of our funnels and all of our emails, and then mapped out 1 quarter at a time what we're doing, right? So we're taking it one product at a time. So in Q1, we rewrote all of our master classes and redid the Ditch the Social Drama download. So PS, if you haven't checked it out, you should, because it got a glow up and it's so good. It's just hollymariehaynes.com/social. So we redid that in Q1, I'm sorry. And now Q2, when this is being recorded, we're actually revamping our Dream Income Quiz with a brand new offer. I'm super excited about this. I'm not going to say much about it, except it's a micro offer, which we haven't done before, and I'm excited to test it out. So that's coming in Q2. And then in Q3, Q4, I don't know, we'll see how far we get. We're revisiting CEO Week. So by the end of the year, everything will be refreshed. And so my comment in sharing this, or my purpose of sharing this, is like, well, what does this mean for you? Well, sometimes, going back to my income stacking strategy that I teach, you don't need to create something new, but maybe just change the magazine cover, right? So how has your wording changed? Is your target market the same? Are you teaching the same things? And if I knew actually, if I did this all at once, I would be so overwhelmed. And so the goal is to just do one like little mini upgrade a quarter to keep it easy for everyone. So if you have the goal to create a new product or service, maybe you just need to give a glow up to what you currently have. Or maybe you just need to package it a little bit differently. It's just kind of like a different way of thinking about things. The third thing that we have invested in this year, speaking of glow up, is our planner. So our planner had a moment. Finally, it's never really had one, but it got a major makeover. And this kind of goes back to my mantra that I have had this season to follow the fun. So when you think about your business, what gets you excited? Like what makes you jump out of bed in the morning? And I just had this vision. I've had it for years on my vision board to like throw a launch party for our planner. I don't know why. I don't know where it came from. This is like how my brain works. I get this like vision in my head and I'm like, okay, like let's work backwards. How do we do this? But there was some strategy behind it. So the planner has always been like a passion project of mine, but it does act as like an entry point or a tripwire into our community. So now the planner isn't just a planner. It does teach you how to plan, but we also incorporated a full strategy course inside of it, complete with new podcast episodes, new access to our community, our planning parties, and more. And the fun part is I invested and partnered with my local friend, Christy Townsend, who owns Paper Vow, to curate a whole collection. So it's a whole year's collection of planners and make it an experience, right? That's what we talk about here. Client experience. And it's honestly been so much fun. It's probably more fun than I've had in business in such a long time, which has led me to be like even more creative. So you can check out the results at hollymariehaynes.com/planner because we curated brand new bundles and ways to purchase them and just made it so much easier. But if you're listening and you're like, well, how can I use this strategy? My question to you is, what feels easy to you? What feels fun? And do more of that, right? I know that feels kind of like, really? But to me, this like opened more doors than I could ever imagine. And because it was fun and it felt easy and it didn't feel hard. So I stuck with it and I didn't give up. Last but not least, we decided that our growth engine this year was the podcast. So that's no surprise there. It has been for a while. I've talked about it a lot in content repurposing, but I really wanted to dig into strategies to help us grow. So we launched a YouTube channel. It's at Holly Marie Haynes with the help of our podcast team. And then we've really dug into SEO strategy, like making, for the last 2 years, actually, organic search has been our #1 lead generator. And so I really wanted to think about like, how do we continue to do that? Because to me, that is gold, right? Like I don't have to rely on any social engine for that. The other thing that we have invested in, and this might surprise you a little bit, is Pinterest. So through our repurposing strategy, we have really been able to amplify Pinterest and play around with Pinterest ads. Now, you know me and you know my thought on ads. And I will tell you that we spent on average $100 a month with Pinterest ads. Like, it's nothing. And it has increased our click rate to our website by over 50%. And because we've spent time on our website and SEO and all the funnels behind the scenes, it's like this engine that is working itself. So I'm no expert here, but I have done the Pinterest work myself, and it's been fun to play around with behind the scenes on engagement techniques that actually show results. So when you're thinking about your business, I want you to think about, what is your one growth engine? Like, what's the growth engine, the client attraction strategy that is your focus? Like, what attention are you putting towards that? And that should be your number one thing. And then last but not least, finally, when it comes to like making this all come to life, we continue to invest in our team. So I have an amazing website team through Studio Classica. They take my ideas and they help them come to life, and they work on a retainer each month. I also have an amazing VA, Caitlin, who has done tremendous work behind the scenes, helping us update our funnels and SEO. My executive assistant, Carol Lee, takes our quarterly plans and all these ideas and manages the teamwork behind the scenes. She actually comes to our house once a month, and then the quarterly planning that I teach in our planning parties in the club and at our retreats in our mastermind, I actually execute for our own business. So we map out exactly what we want to focus on. That's where this whole plan that I'm talking about came from. What's working, what's not working, and why. And then last but definitely not least, Kate from Amplify Boutique has literally amplified our podcast strategy, including new episode covers each week, a YouTube strategy that I talked about, and more. So when you look at your team as you're listening, is what they are doing income producing? That was a really important question for us this year. Or is it creating time for you to do the activities that are? So if what they're doing isn't income producing, that's fine, but it should be creating time for you to do activities that are income producing. So what can you outsource to create more capacity, right? So these are the things that have worked pretty well this year. To be honest, knock on wood, like cross your fingers, whatever you need to do. We haven't had a ton of flops yet, but the one thing that still hasn't worked for me is Instagram and Facebook ads. I have played around a lot with boosting and engagement and all the things because I'm in communities where I see a lot of successful business owners run ads who I look up to, and I'm like, well, if it's working for them, why is it not working for me? But so far, I can't seem to get it work. It ends up costing us a decent amount of money, and they're not the right people that are coming into our world. So that we're still trying to monitor a little bit. I've also invested a lot of time into bundles and summits as part of our client attraction strategy. And I will tell you that not all bundles and summits are created equal. I have not seen the same return on investment on these as I have in years past. So some of them are really good, some of them are not, and it's not the right people. And so honestly, we've had to clean out our email list a few times. You should do this once a quarter because it's not attracting the right people. And so what I have seen work in this space very recently is lead magnet swaps and partnerships, which we were actually just talking about that a couple episodes ago with Linda Sidhu, and really thinking about a more curated and customized approach, right? Like, how can you make something that doesn't exist, right? This like more curated, exciting thing, maybe that's just like worded a little bit differently, or it's just a very organic partnership. That's what I'm seeing working. So my goal of this episode was to share that no matter where you're at in your business, you can't build Rome in a day, but you also can't build it by yourself. So make sure to slow down and ask yourself strategic questions like, what's working? What's not working? What do I really want to do? Who can I surround myself by to help? And then create a plan so it's feasible. So me rebuilding our funnels in a month would be a nightmare, but taking it one project at a time allows us to build and pivot and build and pivot. So grab a pen and paper. Maybe it's your like favorite note taking app in your phone, and answer these questions for yourself. What is one area of business you can glow up, right? Instead of starting from scratch? How can you incorporate more fun into your business strategy? And what's your current growth engine, right? So for us, it's the podcast. Are you giving it the attention it deserves? And I would just say, I don't think there's any shame in sharing your wins and your flops. Everyone has them. And I think that's what builds connection and trust with your audience. So if you have any questions about what's working or not working, definitely send me a DM, reach out. I would say building a business takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of strategic, peeking behind the curtain of let's make sure that we're moving forward with the things that light you up, learning from your experiences and having some fun along the way.